Put the thing this up, a countdown. Hey, y'all. Hey, this is Dishing It with D. We got a great topic tonight. Okay. I'm going to talk about this because you know what? This was placed heavily on my heart, this topic. If I have to just talk to the screen, like I normally record my videos, and you all catch this on the replay, I'm going to talk about it because it was, like I said, it was placed heavily on my heart to talk about it. And it's about to be an epidemic. Now I have to hear this from my, two daughters and what have you. It's hard. It's hard out here finding a good mate. Now I know that we rather probably be talking about, the 50 episodes of Why the F I Get Married, where a woman talks about how a man done them wrong. But you know what? This is the kind of stuff that really needs to go viral, and we need to talk about it because it is of epidemic proportion. I saw Russell Wilson's video. Now I know a lot of it was talk, and the Wilson. He's the quarterback for the Denver Broncos. But a portion of his interview that he had with someone on a podcast, and he was talking about his relationship with Ciara. And I think that is I took away a lot from that. And he talked about how he had God first in his life. So, we may need to get back to the basics. But anyway, so y'all, I put on my cross today, and I got my candles back here burning because we need to we need to really talk about this matter here, right? It is, like I say, I talk to my daughters a lot about this, but it's not only them; it's their friends. I got two nieces, their friends. Nobody has partners. Nobody's getting married. What's going on? You have to ask yourself, what is it? And this is specifically for Black women. Now I know we're getting more educated and all that, and we want more out of, our partners and so forth, but it's becoming of epidemic proportion where they're not even dating anyone seriously that's leading to the marriage. And I'm telling you, these kids are, ushering into their late 30s, early 30s, some of them in their 40s. Hell, I didn't even get married myself until, almost 5 years ago. Met my lovely husband, now partner, 10 years ago. But it's problematic. And we have to ask ourselves, why? Why is it? Why is it? So what I want to do is I want to break down and listen to some of the conversation that Russell had. And as he was talking about his relationship with Ciara, how he met her, and just the things that he prepared and prayed for in order to receive her. So that's the reason why on my thumbnail I said, are you really ready for marriage? You have to ask yourself, are you ready for marriage? Have you done the work on yourself? Are you prepared for a relationship? And a lot of us are not. Do we even know what we want in a partner? Do we know what we have to offer a partner? So those are the questions that we have to ask ourselves. So I'm going to play a few bits of the video, and then we're going to just break it down and talk about it. Now, I did try to get my husband to come in on this live with me, because he and I always have these conversations. Now we have these kitchen table talks with each other about this conversation, but he didn't want to get on. But so I'm going to share some of his wisdom as well, but that we have talked about, because like I say, this topic is something that we talk about all the time. Actually, it was a topic of conversation even in church this Sunday when we went into church, and one of the pastors is very young, and he's married, and he talked about how he met his wife and just how being right with God and having a presence with God in your life first helps to prepare you for your relationships. And that could be friendships, that could be relationship with your family, relationships with your spouse, your partner, or what have you. You just need to put Christ first in your life. And that's what's one of those things that Russell Wilson said. And we're going to take a listen to that. He said that, faith is the foundation for his healthy and successful relationship that he has with Ciara. So you have to ask yourself, do we need to get back to that? Have we steered too far away from the church, or just too far from just not even the church, just from your belief system, having some core values in what a good relationship looks like and a healthy relationship looks like. So anyways, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hey Waymakers, what I'm going to do is I'm also going to put this, as people start coming in, if we get any more people in the chat on the live here, I'm also going to put in here a copy of this link, so that if you want to join in, you can feel free to do so. And I'd love to pull you up on the stage and have you talk to me about, some of the things that we're discussing today. So anyways, but I see we got some more people coming in. Make sure you put in the chat when you come in. I see we got a few folks on the live now. When you put in where you're calling in from, where you're viewing from, I'd love to know that as well. But anyways, it is a serious matter. Like I say, I don't take this lightly at all. This conversation and this. And I think, like I say, we'd rather hear about the stuff that, like I say, where we all know that, we've had, a lot of people have had troubled relationships. We've had, problems with our, spouses, or problems with our, relationships, partners, boyfriend, girlfriends, what have you. We're so used to seeing all of that. We all used to hearing all of that. But I think we need to talk about, why can't we find good, healthy relationships and good partners? And that is a conversation nobody's talking about. Nobody's going viral about that. So, but anyways, so let's take a listen to Russell's conversation, and then we're going to chat about it. Okay. I'm going to play a little bit of his video. Let's talk about it.
I just trust God, man. I'm going to put the work in every day and trust God. Also, too, that's where like faith comes in, knowing that too, like God's with me, no matter how high, how low it gets, no matter what the journey is. It's like, I just trust God, man. I'm gonna put the work in every day and trust God.
Okay. This was the piece that I took from it, the very first part of the conversation, when he started talking about his relationship with Ciara. The interviewer asked, just what was some of his, I guess, what made his relationship great or whatever. And he said, basically, he said he put God first in any and all things that he does. So that's why I say, should we get back to the basics? When you really had that as a part of your core upbringing. I know that people have all kinds of religions that they believe in, and I'm not here to tell anybody and what their faith that they should believe in or not believe in. But I think you have to have some type of core value system. And, it's important, what are you drawing from? Because whenever you have a core value system, you draw from that, whenever things get tough, you have some set of principles or values that you can lean on in order to, get through. So, so Russell says that he put God first. He's a faith believer, and that's what he attributes to a lot of his success in football, his success in his relationships. So let's listen to the next part and see what you think.
5 non-negotiables. I think in any business deal, right? Like marriage is,
It's a partnership.
you got to realize it's a partnership. It's a business deal. Not to be cold, but it's like, it's a partnership. We're going to spend the rest of our lives together. We're going to spend this. We're going to do this together. We're going to do this together. We're going to have these kids together. We're going to raise these children together. Like, we're going to make decisions together. Like, so it's a partnership. And so in any partnership, you got to have your non-negotiables. So I started writing those out. I was like, man, I'm going to write my 5 non-negotiables. 5 is the number of grace. So I said, I'm going to write these numbers.
Okay. All right. We're going to pause it right there. Let's unpack that, because he said a lot. He said a lot in a short amount of time there. Okay. He said that a relationship or marriage is like a partnership, a business. So let's talk about that. Let's just break that down right there. He said a partnership, a business. Now, I know, with COVID and what have you, they was giving out all those PPP loans, that people were just going striking up and starting up businesses and didn't have any idea of any kind of business sense. But we're talking about here, when you set up a real business, right? That is going to be lasting, long lasting. He says, so that's the thing that he was saying. You've got to set up, or go into any relationship like it is a business, a partnership. You've got to understand when you going in business and you want that business to last, you got to do your homework up front. You got to make sure that you have taken at least some business courses, or at least read up some stuff on, on YouTube or, on the internet or whatever, about how to set up a business, how to get your LLC. Are you going to do it as a sole proprietorship? Are you going to do it as a corporation? You got to know some fundamentals of setting up a business, right? You got to have a product. You got to know how you're going to get your product, who's going to be the buyer of the consumer of your product. You have to outline all of that when you're setting up a business. So if it's a marriage, you have to put in some work in advance. You've got to have some things lined up. You got to understand what you want out of your relationship. You got to understand what you bring to the table. What does your partner bring to the table? What kind of goals you want to achieve? You got to talk about all of those things, and you need to understand and have that stuff kind of listed out for yourself when you're shopping for a partner. Because, truth be told, if you don't, you just end up in anything, and you're not going to be happy. So, but yeah, you need to figure out all of those things in advance. And that is the prep work. That's preparing you for your relationship. That's why I asked, are you even prepared? Are you even ready for a relationship? Because if you haven't put in the work for the preparation, there's no telling what you're going to get. And I don't even think people even understand. And then, okay, so he talked about partnership. And then he said that he talked about non-negotiables, right? So now I know people say, well, women have too many lists and they're going to rule out their good partners if they got way too many lists and all this, da, 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 da. But you got to have something that you say, well, I'm just not going to accept anything. You got to understand your love language. You know what I'm saying? You got to understand like he said, what are non-negotiables? Do you, do you definitely want to have kids? Like, one of my daughters, she definitely want a big house, and, you might be with a partner and say, hey, I just want a, regular size house, like a, just as long as we got, a bedroom, bathroom, and kitchen, and the normal stuff. You've got to understand what it is that you want out of a relationship and your partner. So you have to prepare yourself for that. So he said that he had 5 non-negotiables. Now he said 5 non-negotiables, and we're going to go through those. He said, that 5 represents something as well. He said grace. He said it represents grace in the Bible. So I looked it up, and it says number 5, it symbolizes God's grace, goodness, and favor towards human. Favor towards human. So everything that he's doing and how he's navigating his relationship and his life is all centered around his faith and his belief in God. So the number 5, he said, well, okay, that represents grace. So I'm going to come up with my 5 non-negotiables. So what you have to ask yourself, do you have non-negotiables? Have you made your list? Now, we're not talking about just go and put up here, okay, the man got to be, man got to be 6'3", tall, dark, and handsome. He got to have muscles. He's got to have this, that. We're not talking about that. We're not even talking about that. Now, yeah, we're not saying we want any kind of scumbugs. You know what I'm saying? We're not going to want just any old thing, but you got to understand what are what is the things that are valuable to you. Because think about it. No matter how good that man look or that woman look, when you marry them, if you stay married to them long enough, their hair gonna fall out, it's gonna turn gray, their boobs are gonna sag. Now I know we got all kind of things to keep those things lifted and everything, but trust me, it costs money. And but it's gonna so all of those vanity things, we're not talking about those things. We're talking about things that are part of your core value system. And what are those things that you're not willing to compromise on? And that's what your non-negotiables are. So, think about it. What are your non-negotiables? And let's talk about, and let's play the clip here and see what Russell's non-negotiables were. Okay. All right, give me a chance. I'm gonna put this one up and let's talk about it. This one. Here we go.
5 is the number of grace. So I said, I'm gonna write these numbers, this out. And so I said the first one was number one is I wanted a woman of faith, right? Somebody who was equally yoked and somebody who believed in Jesus and everything else the same way. Number 2.
Okay, let's talk about that. Okay, his non-negotiable, because he is a man of faith, he said that whoever he's with has to be a believer. Waymaker's Reality says cheating is definitely a non-negotiable for her. I think that's a non-negotiable for everybody. But I don't think the thing is most men ain't even gonna tell you that they're a cheater. But I guess you have to do your homework on that one. Anyways, you have to be Snoop Troop going through all their social media and all that stuff. I don't know. But his non-negotiable is that if the person is not a faith believer, that person is not for him. So, all right, let's listen on.
Is I want a woman who's faithful, not just to me, but also faithful to everything that she's doing. Like to her friends, to her job, occupation. A woman who's faithful. Number 3 is I wanted a woman who was independent, had her own identity. It wasn't, I was Russell's wife or this or that. Like they had their own identity, they had their own dreams. It could be a nurse, it could be to a teacher, it could be to anybody, but obviously see on stage doing a 1-2 step and leveling up and everything else. But it didn't have to be that, but it was just somebody who had their own identity, who wanted to be volunteer work, or whatever it is. Like they wanted to have something they're dedicated to.
Okay, all right. He said his second non-negotiable was that the person that he's going to be with had to be faithful not only to God, but be faithful to whatever they're committed to. Now that means that if you got a job, if you are, you're a great mother or you whatever, you have to be really faithful and committed to it. So no slackers. Okay. He wants somebody that's, that also has their own identity. That was his third one. That he didn't want somebody that would be like, okay, to be, oh, I'm Russell Wilson's wife. That's what you're known for. No, he wanted somebody that had their own identity and that was whole before they met him. So, and I'm sure that is something definitely that, being an entertainer or being, a celebrity like himself, a football player and all that has to be important for them because, there's so many people that's trying to attach on to you just because that you are famous, you got money, you know what I'm saying? So he wasn't looking for that. I mean, any scallywag that come along and just, hey, popping it like it's hot and what have you, he didn't want none of that. So he was looking for a woman of faith, committed in whatever she's doing, has some type of identity, whether he said, even if it was a teacher or a nurse or doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, you're committed and you have an identity for yourself or volunteer or whatever it is. And That's what he said. So everybody has to have that list. I mean, like I said, whether or not your list of non-negotiables are like what Russell is saying, but you need to have some. Your non-negotiables, maybe like someone in the chat said, cheating is definitely a non-negotiable for her. But we don't, I mean, I don't know how you can determine whether somebody's a cheater or not. But like I said, whatever those non-negotiables are, it could be somebody that says, hey, you may say, well, I want somebody that has gone to college. I don't know, that might be superficial, but if that's something that you want and that's equally yoked, you're looking for somebody that's equally yoked, maybe that's what you want. Or either if that person hasn't gone to college and professional, maybe they own their own, company, or like I say, some startup, some small business, or what have you. You have to look for that person that's going to be equally yoked to you. So okay, let's see what the fourth thing that Russell said.
Number 4 was I wanted a woman that was going to love me the way my mom loved my dad on his deathbed when he was at his lowest. My dad used to always say, son, your mom is going to be able to take care of you. And the 5th thing is,
okay, now that is important right there. We're going to really pause on that one, because he said that he wanted someone, and his dad said that to him on his dying bed, right? That he wants a woman like his mother took care of his dad and was there on his dying bed. And that means that woman's going to be there through thick and thin. And that says a lot. You know what I'm saying? Because, it's easy to be with people when they're on a high and when everything is going good. But when you got to wipe their hiney, then you got to carry them to the bathroom. You might have to do a lot of different things that, that you may not necessarily want to, but it's really taking the vows of your marriage and relationship to heart, where it says in sickness and in health. And that's important. That's important to know, because we're not always going to be where we are. If we live long enough, we're going to have that need, for someone to care for us and be there in our corner. So that was important to him. And that's a non-negotiable. And what he said without saying was, and this is what my takeaway was, when he said his mom was at his dad's bedside when he was on his deathbed. That meant that he came from a 2-parent home. That means that I really do believe, like I say, that men that have been raised in 2-parent homes, and I'm not saying anything about single parenting, because I was a single parent for a long time, but I think that you either have to have a strong grandparents influence, uncles influence, or whatever to to instill those core values, so that a man can see how a woman treats a man, and a man knows how to treat a woman. And that sounds like, to me, he saw how his dad treated his mom, and he saw how his mom treated his dad. So he knew that's what he wanted to replicate in his relationship. And if he didn't get that, and he didn't get the sense of that was going to be the person that he's with, that's a non-negotiable. So, okay. All right, let's listen to the 5th thing that he said.
Is I wanted a woman who would tilt the room. When she walks in the room, all the furniture would slide her way.
Okay.
Started writing those out. I was like, man, I'm gonna write my 5 non-negotiables.
Okay. So he said the 5th thing was he wanted a woman that could tilt the room when she walked in. Now, what does that mean? That you tilt the room? That means that you have a presence, an aura about you, that you can stop people talking. When you walk into the room, that doesn't always mean glam, glitz, and all of that. That means that you have an aura about you, a presence about you as a woman. Your femininity shows up. You light up the room. My husband told me when we were doing some game over Christmas or something about just talk, ask, what are some things that you want to share about each other or what have you? And what, name a fruit or something like that, or that represent your spouse and what have you. And he talked about how, that I brighten up the room, that I have a big personality. When I come in the room, I didn't even really think that he's never really even told me that before, but I'm just saying, it made me feel so good because it was like, oh wow, he thinks that my personality is that, genuine, and I love people, I love talking to people and what have you. So I was like, you know, maybe that was me tilting the room for him. So tilting the room means, like I say, that not necessarily that like I say, of course Ciara tilts the room because, look at Ciara is gorgeous and she's, all of that, but everybody has the ability to tilt the room, and you can tilt the room for the right person. So whoever that right person is that noticed you, that you tilt the room, that could be your big hair don't care, it could be your attitude, how you just able to grace a room or show up and just, make him smile even when he doesn't feel like smiling. That's tilting the room. That's tilting the room. So how do you tilt the room? How do you think that you tilt the room when you come up? How do you show up? And I know that there is people always say that about me and one of my daughters, that, we lighten up the room. It's like people just drawn to us. But why is that? It's not necessarily because of how we look or anything, but we always have an approachable attitude about ourselves, and people see that, and people see that genuinely. It's not fake. You know what I'm saying? People just come to you. You know what I'm saying? People just are drawn to you because of your personality, how you approach people, how you know how you love on people, how and people sense that. So that's a tilting the room. So think about, how do you tilt the room? Are you tilting it to the point where it's falling down and people don't even want to go and you falling into the gutter? Nobody wants to be around a person like that. Is your attitude always stank? You know what I'm saying? Do you have your nose up in the air because you think you are? Because a lot of times women, and I might have to say this now, a lot of times women who really think that they got it going on, and they've been told that they got it going on, they basically, they come in with a stuck up attitude and feel like that, I've been told that I'm beautiful, I look beautiful, I know I'm beautiful, I got the big head, so I don't have to do much because, people just gonna come to me. I'm just gonna attract people. That's what a lot of times women, but you know what, a lot of times men don't gravitate to women like that. Now they might, hit it and quit it, but I'm just saying they don't gravitate to women like that. So think about, your attitude sometimes. Think about, what are you giving off? What aura are you giving off? Okay. All right. Let's see. All right. I'm going to play the last clip and let's talk about that one. Okay. And this one is more about his relationship with the kids and just how they met and all that. So let's talk about it.
That, wrote it out. I wrote actually out on a napkin at dinner as we were sitting there eating a steak dinner. I wrote it out on a napkin and we prayed over it. 3 days later, I meet C. And when I walked in the room and I saw, little future, he's 9 months at the time or whatever, and he crawls in my lap, and it was like, this is going to be my responsibility.
Okay. All right, let's pause it right there. Okay. He said, now, I don't know what you all think about manifestation and prayer and what have you, but he said that he wrote these 5 things down on a napkin, and then him and his partner, they prayed over it, right? And he said 3 days later he met Ciara. Now, if that ain't manifestation and the power of prayer, I don't know what it is. But that's what he said. He said, and he met her 3 days later. And let's continue.
God, I remember leaving that night and God saying, God saying to me, raising this child, it's going to be your responsibility. And realizing that, pray to God, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Say, son, this is for you.
The first night?
Yeah, the first night.
Once again, he said the first night when he met her, he knew she was the one. So I'm saying, when a man is ready, and he was ready, when a man is ready, and he also had his non-negotiables, she met those non-negotiables, and she had a kid. But check this out. Look, he didn't even say that, he wanted a woman with no kids. He didn't say he wanted a clean woman. well, I don't say clean, that's what we say, but a woman with no kids, he didn't say that as a non-negotiable. Some people have that as non-negotiable. I know a lot of women say, hey, I don't want no man that got no whole lot of baggage and I got to deal with, baby mamas and this and that and the third and all that. He didn't say that was a non-negotiable. That might be your non-negotiable, but he didn't have that as a non-negotiable. So when he met her, and he met her, sounds like with her son, which was Future, that was 9 months at that time, he knew she was the one. And he asked God, are you sure this is it? And he said, his answer from God was, it is. Let's take a listen.
It's going to be your responsibility. And
was that scary?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think scary just in the sense of, not scary, but it was more so an opportunity. Like, okay, God, this is what you want me to do. This is, stepping in to raise, a child with C and this and that, and realizing that, okay, God, like, I know she's the one for me, but also too, I'm gonna take this responsibility as well. Like, okay, like, and I was ready for that. I was ready to, I love children, as you know, I love kids and everything else.
See what it said? He said he was ready for that. Now, when a man is ready, he's ready. Okay, so there you have it.
But it was like, man, to help raise a child and everything else, understanding that, okay, God, you're gonna give me this opportunity. What a gift.
That's what got me right there. He said that was a gift. A gift. This is some other man's child. That was a gift to him. This is a gift from God to be a part and raise this child. That's deep. That's serious. Okay. That's a real man. Okay. And he got good core values. Okay. Let's listen on.
And Jesus himself, like Joseph was a stepdad. I was like, okay, it wasn't biologically his. So I'm like, okay, God, you're gonna have me this, Judah, me and.
Okay, that's it. That's it right there. That was it, hands down for me. I was like, I'm done. I'm done. I'm sold. I'm done. I'm done. Because he said, guess what? He said, Joseph, who was married to Mary, Jesus' mama, he was a stepdad. That's the ultimate stepdad. So if Joseph was a stepdad to Jesus, that was his stepson. Blessing from God. Now, why can't I be? Why can't I be? Why can't I be? Why can't I? Why not me? I'm surely not Jesus Christ. I'm in his image, but hey, I'm not Jesus. If Joseph could love Jesus as his own, I can certainly love Future as my own. This is a man. This is a real man. I was like, oh my goodness. Now, I thought my husband was good, but he's still good. He's real good. But anyways, to be in the status that he's in with, with his celebrity, like I say, his status, he's famous, his status, his money, his wealth, and to have this, it's a part of his core. It's a part of his foundation. And when you have a solid foundation, it's just like a house. You know what I'm saying? If it's built on solid ground, just like the three little pigs, the house that didn't blow down was built on foundation. Solid foundation. And it's a part of his core value system. And that, I believe, is a part of his upbringing, the teachings, the love, the support, the understanding, all of that was poured into him by his parents has made him the man that he is today. I tell that to my husband today. Love him dearly. He wasn't raised by his parents, but he was raised by his grandparents. And his grandparents poured into him and instilled all these core values. He still believes in chivalry, opening up the door for me. He doesn't have to do that. I can open my door for myself. I remember we were at, I think it was at my bridal shower in Punta Cana. in 2019, my sister and my niece was there. All of my family was there. And we were engaging in this conversation. And the conversation was about opening the door for your spouse, your partner, or whoever. And I said, yeah, I said, my fiance at that time, I said, he opened the door for me all the time. And they was like, ooh, you taking us back. My sister was like, you taking us back, women back to, oh my gosh, years and years of, what we've, our rights, that we wanted to be equal rights and all of this. I was like, it ain't got nothing to do with no equal rights. This man loves me and he feels like that's something he wants to do for me. And I'm like, I'm going to let him do it. And then my niece chimed in. I think she's maybe about 6 or 7 years younger than me. And she said, my husband does it too. And I was like, thank you. You know what I'm saying? Thank you very much. What's wrong with that? So, but I say that to say that because I'm sure these are core values that he saw. He saw his grandfather opening up the door for his grandmother. Back then, she didn't have to work or pick up a finger. It's like she was a housewife. And but anyways, he loved her, took care of her. He was a protector, and until the day he died. So those are the core values that were instilled in him. And I believe that that's why Russell is the way he is. And I think it is largely contributed to his upbringing by his parents and everything that they instilled in him in his foundation and in his core. And somebody said, we need more Russells out here. Definitely. We definitely do. And the thing is, why don't we have more Russells like this? You know what I'm saying? But I think that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother conversation. I think that has a lot to do with single parent homes, not having, like I say, father figures in the home, all of that, and not having, role models, male role models and all of that. And it's just, like I say, and then also the lack of having, faith in your life as well. To Russell's point, I think when they removed church out of schools, they removed church out of everything. And I think that we now just believe in any and everything, and we don't really have that core value system that we can lean into and lean on when we need to, and I think that we just, the world has gone haywire. So anyways, but in closing here, the thing that I wanted to just, talk about, it is an epidemic right now because people are not finding partners. There's lots of reasons why they probably are not. I haven't done any psychological or sociological studies about any of this, but I'm just I know that I see that a lot of young women today are not in relationships, and particularly Black women. And we need to talk about this on a larger scale. We need to start, putting our heads together and raising this to awareness, make this types of conversation go viral instead of, the Risa Tisa stuff, the 50 episodes. I'm one and done on that stuff. We know that men have been doing women wrong since the beginning of time. We want to hear why we're having this lack of good quality men and partners for our young ladies, our young Black ladies. Like I say, they're working hard, they're educated, and they're just not, because they're beyond the age of having babies and they're putting off babies to a long time. It's a snowball effect of a lot of things that are going on because of this. They're having to look at freezing their eggs and all this because they're getting into their 30s and they want to maybe still have kids, but they haven't found the right person and all of this. So it's a lot. It's a lot to think about. But just in closing, like I say, think about preparing yourself to be ready for that special one. Make sure you're ready, that you're whole. I know a lot of times we going from relationship to relationship that we're still broken. We're carrying a lot of baggage, but work on yourself. And also, in working on yourself, be okay with, going to therapy, having therapy for yourself so that you can talk it out and talk it over with other people. To someone that don't necessarily know your situation, that's not going to be judgmental and all of that, and just work on yourself and be the best you can be, that you can bring into the relationship. And then, like Russell, figure out what your non-negotiables are. Don't compromise on them, ladies. Don't compromise on them. What's the worst thing that can happen? You can end up still where you are right now. But don't compromise, just get in relationships just for the sake of, because I want to have someone. That's not healthy either, because what you do is end up spinning and spinning your wheels with the same person, and you're churning away at good years of your life, which you could be doing, travel, or develop a hobby or whatever, I'm saying, to express yourself and feel comfortable with you in your skin, and bringing your true authentic self into a healthy relationship when that right person is. And pray about it. If you're a faith believer, pray about it. Ask, manifest like he did. Write that stuff down. Pray over it. Might not happen in 3 days like he did with Ciara, but pray over it. Prayer, and develop a prayer partner where you can actually pray with somebody, like I say, so that, the power of prayer comes in numbers. So, don't be afraid to turn it over to that spiritual one, God, if you're a faith believer, and see what happens. Well, it's been good chatting with you tonight. And look, as I always say, don't forget, if you're new to the channel, if you're watching this on the replay, okay, don't forget to subscribe to this channel and turn on that notification bell. And also like this video and comment on it. Give me some suggestions about some other things you want to talk about. Now, I'm going to be talking about, the latest news gossip and all the celebrity gossip and stuff. But sometimes I want to just get up here and talk about things that really, really matter. I think tonight's topic was one of those that really is near and dear to my heart. And and I will catch you all on the next video. And thank you for joining. Have a good evening.